Just tell us a little bit about the value prop and the other opportunities we're seeing blockchain technology be applied and used.
Thanks so much. The value prop is an interactive website that allows you to go in and see all of the positive use cases for blockchain. It answers the question, as you said, is there a fundamental value to blockchain? We've seen it asked by the White House, by reporters, by policymakers around the world. And this interactive website is really meant to answer the question in the affirmative, yes. So it showcases things from, as you said, identity with WorldCoin, that's on the value prop, but also things that we've seen from Starbucks and Sports Illustrated and other major companies that have launched blockchain-based applications as well.
Yeah, we're looking at some of those companies now. Starbucks, you mentioned, Disney, Coca-Cola, Nike, even, well, charitable elements like UNICEF. What is is it all about financial applications? Is this about loyalty? What are you really seeing companies' willingness to embrace at the moment, the world of Web3, when it hasn't exactly been loved from a regulatory perspective?
I think finance is one part of blockchain and it's gotten a lot of attention, but there are 42 disparate use cases on the value prop that range from consumer loyalty to identity to gaming to social impacts. And there are over 430 applications that fall within those 42 different use cases. So I think what we're going to see as we continue on this blockchain journey is something that expands well beyond the finance use case into things like democratizing all of the ways we use the internet, such as social media, consumer loyalty, and even something like the California DMV government is looking at ways to use blockchain-based applications as well.
Okay, let's look about the government a little bit, because you, of course, the reason Polygon is there and the use case in many ways is about building the infrastructure of Web3, making it easier, faster, cheaper to be transacting on Ethereum in particular. How much are you seeing your own use case being, well, elevated at the moment? Are we stagnating in any way?
I do think that the infrastructure and the scaling infrastructure in particular is really getting a lot of attention. And in terms of making blockchains much more available and widespread and faster, cheaper, easier to use. Ours is not a use case in particular. As you said, it's just the infrastructure that allows all of these various use cases to be built on top in an open and permissionless way and democratizes all the ways that the internet is being used, whether it's by governments or by people through consumer loyalty programs as well.
Your token, Matic, well, the SEC's decided that perhaps it is a security. How have you managed to deal with that? I know you've recently taken on the legal part of the role that you now have on top of policy. How are the conversations going?
Well, the Matic allegations were allegations against Binance and Coinbase, two third parties, which we have no affiliation. And those cases are progressing forward. But more than that, I do sort of echo what Mr. Altman said, which is I hope, especially given what we've seen as to different types of decisions coming out of U.S. district federal courts about the ways that crypto can be used. I hope we do have sensible regulation that really brings clarity and allows businesses in the U.S. to continue doing business and get back to the business of doing business as well.
Do you remain committed to the U.S.? Do you think there's this talk of talent moving overseas?
So Polygon Labs is an international company, but I do think that people people in the crypto space in general view the U.S. as a particularly important place and a place where technology has really thrived for a long time. And I think that many in the industry are really committed to seeing legislation move forward that puts really safe guardrails around the industry and the way that users interact both with technology and with tokens as well. Other countries around the world have already done that. The EU has had MiCA in place now for a few months, and there are rules and regs being built out by the European Banking Authority and by ESMA, which is the Securities Authority, to really implement MiCA in a practical way. The UK has put out a very compelling crypto asset consultation about building a regulatory regime there. And other countries around the world have had crypto regulations in place, particularly for these centralized exchanges, for many years. So I do hope and think that people are hopeful that the US, as it's long been a tech center, really catches up and takes the same type of approach.
And I'm sure in many ways this is exactly why the value prop has been put forward, is to try to discuss that this isn't just always speculation, but this is actually real tangible use cases of the underlying technology. How much do you think that that's the fight that you have to have? Or is it better if we start to see the Larry Finks, the other key players in this world start to push for Bitcoin spot ETFs that will actually change hearts and minds?
Well, I think the value prop is really something that can change hearts and minds, because it really allows people to go in and search by use case and the things they care about the most and see how blockchain is powering that in a very positive way. But I think this is a group effort that I do hope that Larry Fink and others in the traditional financial world who are really coming around to the compelling use case that Bitcoin and other types of crypto assets may have. They're an important voice. And for people who've been working in the industry behind the scenes as builders and lawyers and others who believe in this technology, there's an important voice there as well. So I do hope that this is a group effort over time for the value proposition of blockchain to really come to the fore.